Okay, I just want to do a really quick follow-up video with Pat Tillman, okay, from the Super Bowl video. I was watching 7711, that channel, and I'll just link it below, okay. And he was talking, he mentioned about Pat Tillman, and the Tillman being obviously the farmer, the guy that tills the soil is the farmer, okay. And so, of course, Pat Tillman has connections with, played for the Arizona Cardinals, and so he has connections to the stadium where the Super Bowl was played, State Farm Stadium. Okay, and again with the farm mentioned with the stadium and Tillman the farmer. Okay, and obviously Pat Tillman is the guy after 9/11 who went off to fight the war, as Odysseus went to fight the Trojan War, and of course 2001 A Space Odyssey, the event of 2001, caused this guy to go to war, and the reference to him dying, under friendly fire, I mean the reference there is going into the Matrix. Once you go into the Matrix, once you make that leap into the Matrix to do your voyage, yeah, your Odyssey, okay, you're essentially going to war. At that point, you are a dead entity within the system. Okay, you are playing a role um, of a dead person. Okay, and if you know how the legal system works, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But basically, what you are doing within that legal system is you are assuming the identity of a character that doesn't exist, that is not living, i.e., is a dead entity, right? So this is what's happening with the story of Pat Tillman, right? He's gone into, the farmer has gone into, has gone to do his voyage, basically. And this is exactly the start of the United States. Everybody they did a voyage to get here. And then they started off the system, as free men. They started off as farmers, as homesteaders, and that is the initial step the into the matrix. That step away from nature into manipulating nature as a farmer is that initial step into it's the start of the cycle, becoming the farmer rather than the hunter gatherer anymore. Okay, so we've got that reference going on here with Pat Tillman, the farmer again. Okay, so we could be having a reference to the start of the system again, the renewal, but all going back to the roots of farming, which is essentially the start of the matrix, yeah, the beginning of the matrix. And again, the same thing happens in the Bible with Cain and Abel, yeah. Cain is the farmer, okay, he's the kind of baddie guy, and then there's Abel over here who's the good guy, but he's the wild guy. He's I'd say wild guy, the guy that lives in the wild, basically. He's the guy that follows the herd around. He's not a farmer. He's a herdsman. He's following his flock around. He's following his animals around, and that is a more natural way to um, to work with the world, to work with nature. Okay, and you could almost call it the same thing that, I mean, if you really wanted to take it one more step back, as opposed to being like a shepherd following a flock around, you could take it one step further back as well with that idea and say, like, Native Americans here followed the buffalo around. Okay, it's the same idea. You're basically harvesting, from animals that are able to just wander, and you're basically just following them around, and that's what's going on there with Abel. But what's going on with Cain is he's turned around and now he's growing stuff and he's managing the environment rather than working in synchronicity with it. He's now taking it over and manipulating it to do what he wants. And this is what, the idea of Cain is. Cain, man, the men that we are right now, we are manipulative of nature and everybody around us as well. So that's the idea there. That's the reference for me with Pat Tillman. And of course, we have the Pat Tillman Bridge. Again, interesting numbers on the Pat Tillman Bridge. Here's the Pat Tillman Bridge. This is the thing you need to do to bypass the Hoover Dam. Okay, so to bypass this thing, it's interesting that it's Mike O'Callahan as well, because Dirty Harry was Harry Callahan. Okay, so we dropped an O out and a G out of there, but and of course changed the first name, so we did a bit of changing. But Callahan, Dirty Harry, all the references with Clint Eastwood to the Dollar Trilogy, Back to the Future, there's just a whole heap of stuff with Clint Eastwood. A lot of the stuff I've covered in old videos, but again, and this of course I've covered in old videos as well, this bridge. But what else did I want to say about it? You can count these columns here. There's 8 on this side that I'm getting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and one little one there, 8, and then one little one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got a 58 reference right here. We've got a 11, and we've also got a 139. We've got the 93 of the sun. If you go to my chart, for new people, this is just a bunch of balancing numbers encoding the golden ratio. Again, with the chart, the 139 here is also here, and this is to do with, here we go, in the 7 column, 713. This is all to do with balance here. This is the combination of these 2 columns, the physical and the metaphysical coming together. So 139, an important sort of total number. What was the other number? The 11, of course, right at the center of the table. Yeah, whatever else. Where else I want to go from here? That's really what I wanted to talk about. It was just a quick little video, just about what the story behind Pat Tillman. The synchronicity with the idea of this guy going to war, and Odysseus goes off to the Trojan War at the start of the Odyssey, at the start of 2001: A Space Odyssey. Obviously Odysseus doesn't die, but you know what? We all started off as farmers over here, and then eventually, when you start off and you go into that system, which is maritime, whatever you want to call it, if you want to call it maritime law, and we're also at war with the way the flag is set up. I don't know. There's loads of little references to this idea, but basically, as I said before, when you're in the system, you're dead. Okay, when you're in the matrix, you're not a living being anymore. When Neo goes back into the matrix, he's not living anymore. He's an electrical hallucination or whatever you want to call it, but he's not a real character, completely fictional. What did I want to? Was there anything else? This April the 22nd. Obviously, we've got the 6th of November. Again, if we go back to the dartboard, this here can be a 6th of November. I've explained that in previous videos. So this cross coming across here, super interesting. With the 23 or 203 going up and down, but this is pretty interesting. This cross here, and April April the 22nd. Did I have anything interesting for April the 22nd? It is the Yeah, I did. There was an interesting little connection because April the 22nd. Let's go to it a minute. April the 22nd is the 112th day of the year, and this is what was interesting about this was I put Pat and Mike in the Gematrinator, and what we got going on was Mike O'Callaghan was 112, which I thought I was interested coming up with his um, death day, basically 112th day of the year, and also this 58 again. The 58 is the top of those two columns, but we just did the count up on the columns on the bridge. That was interesting with Mike. What did we have that was super interesting with? Again, just put his regular whole name in without the junior, and we got a 129. Again, Pat Tillman, just as he's known, 118 37 152 62. Look where that shows up down here with Coolio's. I just did the video on it. The number plate in Coolio's Fantastic Voyage. 118 37. We got a different number here. We got a 71 instead of 152, but we've got a reverse. In the reverse reduction, we got a 26 and we got a 62. So we've got some pretty good synchronicity with this Pat Tillman here and the number plate in Coolio's Fantastic Voyage. Just interesting stuff. I don't know. Again, the 232 back to the dartboard. That's a pretty good reference to the up and down of the 23 or 203. I don't know. What else do I want to say? I'm just thinking. I want to show you this thing here as well. Hang on a minute. Let's go to that. So I think that pretty much wraps up. Does that really pretty much wrap up Pat Tillman? I don't know. I'm going to leave it there. It was really more about talking about that link to Cain and Abel, and also to the link of, the voyage again, the Fantastic Voyage again, the 2001 Space Odyssey. Okay, and the fact that this character links to that bridge, and the idea is bypassing the dam. Okay, and I don't really know how. I mean, you have to just think about that for yourself a little bit. Yeah, I think I've pretty much. Yeah, there was some interesting stuff with the opening dates here for the bridge. October the 16th and October the 19th. So pedestrians and regular traffic. The 16th pedestrians, 19th regular traffic. What's interesting about those numbers there is October the 16th. If we change that to October to Oct, the 8th month, now we got the 816 of Elvis's death and Madonna's birth. And what is interesting about the numbers that are here with the numerology, you've also got a 116 and a 119, and of course I do have to explain if you flip that and what that means. So do I have to explain that? I'm not sure. Hopefully not. Construction again with the 114 and the 214 of Valentine's Day, the arrow shooting, through into the heart. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna leave that there. There's one more thing I want to tack into this video, seeing as this is kind of Super Bowl related, and this is what Damar was wearing at the Super Bowl. Damar Hamlin, and yeah, this is what he was wearing. I mean, I just wanted to put this in here it's interesting. Blue and white of the Virgin Mary. Of course, the reference to Christ here with this very cartoonish image of Christ. And of course, there was people getting bent out of shape about saying this looks blasphemous, and I don't know. Yeah, it does look kind of bad, but art is very subjective. And the reason why it's like this is because it's another child reference. Of course, his charity is all about children, and it's talking about the rebirth or the birth of Christ, the rebirth of man, you know, coming out of the matrix. So anyway, I got kind of a SpongeBob feel about this to begin with, and of course, SpongeBob, Bob 808, the 88 of balance, and of course we've got the red tunic thing here, the blue shawl for Mary here, and those two things coming together, and this is the living man here, which is referenced with the earth at the central point between the sun and the moon, earth back in balance, back in control. And of course, at that point, we get a blood moon as well. So all these references, very interesting. The yellow of the sun. Again, he's got Saint Youth on here. So again, the idea of the newborn being a saint. I can't read this stuff here. If anybody could get a better, I couldn't get this any bigger than this, and I didn't really want to spend a whole bunch of time. And of course, I put Eternal into the Gematrinator, so we could just see this. The 75, yeah, 57 in reverse, and here's the 114 again with the CRM 114. I mean, we've just been through all these numbers so much. Here's the 42 again, 42 in the table. 42. Here's 42. If we come down to this row here, Lucas numbers 42 references 37L, and the 24 shows up. Where's the 24? Here's a 24 right here, as well as the 42, 24, and it's balancing with this 57 here. This 57 is completion. 570 here. The total for the 10 column. We're talking about the finish of a cycle. Here it shows up again here with the 57 on the end of there. We're just dealing with cross-referencing back to God and back to the finish of a cycle, yada yada yada. So anyway, I think I want to leave it there because the video is probably already too long. I probably have missed some interesting stuff out here. Like the 97. I mean, we could chase that now. The 77 is also pretty interesting, but we could chase the 97, the 146. I mean, these numbers do show up in here, I think I'm going to leave it there, to be quite honest. I don't think there was anything else I wanted to say. We've tacked the crazy jacket in. I think that was it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say about it. I mean, this is pretty blatant now. The references are coming so thick and fast. And again, I'll try and link that 7711 video down below if I can remember. But yeah, I mean, obviously, myself farming from scratch. I mean, that whole story now brings a little bit more light to my light to my name. I don't know. It kind of like I'm kind of like thinking about my own symbolism here with the name that I chose, and obviously I chose that name because when I first started the channel, I was putting like what I was doing around the farm on, on my channel, and that's why it's called Farming from Scratch. But when you start thinking about this now and the reset of a cycle and farming from scratch, this is, you know, that is the start of the cycle when man, steps over that mark and starts farming, and then from there it's all downhill until there's a point at which man has been completely removed from nature. Farming is the first step, and it just gets worse and worse and worse from there on. So again, kind of a little bit of kind of my name, my name, my avatar, whatever you call the thing, kind of becomes a little bit more ominous with what I'm talking about on the channel now. So I don't know, just interesting. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. All right, cheers, bye.